Hello everyone and welcome back to some more NASCAR Heat 5 Custom Championship season without the playoffs yet again, where today we're going to be taking a look at the first road course of the season over at Sonoma, which, fun fact, I've not actually driven any road course in this game so far, so it'll be curious how I can handle the car. Generally, I've found that in previous NASCAR Heat games, the physics have been kind of wonky when it comes to any of the road courses. And I never played Sonoma in NASCAR Heat 4, so I've never played the Sonoma with a carousel in a NASCAR Heat game either. Also, before we do get started, I have changed my paint scheme up in the background. You can kind of see it. Now we are sponsored by Gatorade in a black and white, pretty clean looking paint scheme. I don't know why it's like this, but I selected matte for the paint scheme type. But you can clearly see by looking at the black hood there that it's pretty glossy. Hopefully when we actually get in game, the rims are white because I think it looks pretty clean. But there is still that glitch in the game, so there's a chance they're just going to be yellow or some really obnoxious color. We're just gonna have to deal with it. So here we are beginning qualifying. As you can see, our tires are still yellow, so that's kind of unfortunate because this car looks pretty clean otherwise. But this will be the first time taking a stab at this track in the game, and we're immediately spinning out. You can see this is not gonna go very well. I did change the preset to be not loose this time, but it's not all like as tight as the default option is. So you know what? Honestly, this race is probably just gonna be a race for survival. And we can just chalk this up to, let's just say we're a rookie, because technically we are, by all means. And rookies generally don't perform all that well on road courses, with a few exceptions, obviously, like some road course ringers and whatnot. And honestly, even in recent years, some of the most recent rookies have been pretty well. But I'm clearly not one of them, as I've just run into an invisible barrier. That's kind of cool. Already have a lot of damage, and we're only halfway through this warm-up lap to qualify. So you know what? I'll probably see you guys here in a minute. I will kind of be shocked if I qualify anything other than last place. So tuning in just a few seconds later, actually, here's the front of our car. You can tell, not having a good time. The car kind of just snapped loose and like steered in a completely different direction than the one I was actually planning on. I don't know if it's the physics. Honestly, I feel like a lot of this probably is my fault. But we're probably going to qualify dead last. And then we're just going to try and slowly make our way up through the field when we actually get to the race. Oh, don't you love it when you have a temperature warning coming on your first lap of qualifying and your only lap of qualifying at that? That kind of just shows how much we've already destroyed the car. Looking at the front, yeah, we have engine damage, radiator damage. If we qualify on anything other than 40th, I will pretty much be shocked. And yeah, you know what? We've already spun out, so how about we just skip qualifying and move straight to the race? This is probably going to be a disaster. Okay, so we're coming into the green flag this time. We're actually starting in like 38th because some cars had issues with, you know, inspection, whatever the game simulates. Honestly, anything in like the top 30 I would consider a major win for this race based on how qualifying went. I do have some of the assists on. I've never driven with any of those on before, so it's going to be interesting to see how those actually play together. I think I have like stability on in some way. I have like oversteer enabled in some way, as myself and Bubba Wallace, our teammate, kind of get side by side and into each other's doors. Also, obviously not used to actually having to shift up and down in this game because basically outside of the road courses, you're never doing anything other than shifting on the restarts to get in fourth gear. Maybe get to second gear down here. Oh gosh, yeah, see, it's something like that, where the back end kind of just kicks out for no reason. It kind of just happens suddenly, and it's not like natural. I feel like that might be part of the limitation of the like physics engine in this game, but part of it's also because, you know, playing on a gamepad, it's not going to be the smoothest experience in the world, so I'm going to try and be pretty careful in this race. I feel like we could probably get away with a pretty decent running. Also, I don't think we actually have to stop in this race. I think it's a 15-lap race, 14 lap actually, and we have 18 laps worth of fuel. I don't know if tires will necessarily hang on all the way. Also, I'm probably going to be in the wrong gear for like half this race, but you know what? Honestly, if that's good enough to still get us in like the top 30, I think we can survive. Okay, so you definitely don't want to be side by side in the S's. You also don't want to get on the gas too early there. I learned that in qualifying when I kind of just nosedived it into the wall. You really don't want to be on the gas while you're turning in a lot of these corners. I feel like we can outbrake the AI occasionally here, like in this corner. But that's going to be the only real opportunity we have, because in the S's and stuff, I feel like I'm not as planted as the AI appear to be, at the very least. Okay, you definitely want to come out of there in second gear. Our acceleration is going to lack significantly otherwise. And we got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. actually leading the race after I'd already mentioned, I don't know what was going on with him at the start of the season, where he started off with two like almost last place finishes. But I mean, hey, if he can win a race, I can pump him up there quite a bit, but he's probably still too far back already to really come back for the championship. That is kind of the whole, you know, double-edged sword of using a standard season-long championship format, because if you get off to a terrible start, your season could just be over then and there. I am trying to be rather conservative here. I could have probably already poked up the inside of Ross Chastain, but you can see there, ooh, even being conservative, I think I probably didn't want to go down the second gear because my car just kind of snapped loose. And again, that's not, I don't know, the physics, like when I play something like this in iRacing, when you do that, like you get a bit of wheel hop or something, your car doesn't just all of a sudden, you know, snap on you like that. It's kind of a gradual, like you can feel it. You definitely can't feel it in this game, and maybe you can feel it if you're playing on a wheel, but especially on a gamepad, you don't really feel anything. You just suddenly your car just snaps in a certain direction and you're left to try and, you know, survive. We're still in 30th place. We did lose a lot of time, but not really a ton of positions. So hopefully we can at least slightly recover. This also might be, I mean, I say it's going to be uneventful. It might be very eventful considering, you know, I'm going to be struggling the whole race, but it might be uneventful in the fact that if I get too far behind these other cars ahead of me, it's basically just going to be a blocking game, and we might not be actively trying to actually pass anybody, which could be kind of boring, but I mean, hey, you know, road courses can be a mixed bag sometimes. Sometimes you get, you know, Brad Keselowski, Marcus Ambrose versus Kyle Busch at Watkins Glen. And then sometimes you get somebody just going out and stomping the entire field. Although recently it's kind of been exciting, you know, in real life at most of the tracks. And then you get something like a Kyle Busch versus Martin Truex Jr. versus Chase Elliott, actually, at a lot of the road courses. I think I've kind of learned my lesson where I don't think I ever want to go to second gear, except for maybe in the final hairpin. And even then, I'm kind of afraid to do it just because I feel like the car is going to want to snap on me. And hopefully I can make it through this. This is an off-camber corner. Yeah, see, that's the issue. I get in there and it feels like the car just kind of floated. Like the tires weren't actually on the ground. But I was able to save it that time. If I can do that, like we're making up ground pretty quickly here on Ross Chastain. Alright, you can't go up to fourth gear here. Leave it in third. We also have Michael McDowell. I mean, hey, that's one thing. So I feel like the game does kind of take into account the track you're on to incorporate driver skill. But Michael McDowell, I mean, he's generally run really well on road courses. Like he's a pretty good road course driver. And like his car is not the slowest thing in the world. So it's kind of odd to see him back here in 28th, especially because Ricky Stenhouse Jr. looks to actually just be stomping the field. I don't know if there's anybody actually near him or if he's just actually that far ahead already. But, okay, we got Justin Haley on our rear here. I could try to dive it in to Ross Chastain there. I'm not going to do it. I feel like that would be a terrible idea. Also, my spotter, Jeff Gordon. Hey, he should probably give me some tips considering how great he was at pretty much all the road courses. At least for the longest time he was. Kind of went a while after that. Yeah, I don't... What are those physics? Hold on. I don't think that's me. I think the car itself is actually trying to flip over in that corner. I'm promising I'm not seeing things. I might be. I mean, you guys can tell me for yourself, but it feels like the car is actually going up on two wheels. And there's... I mean, clearly there's nothing you can do at that point because you're only driving with, you know, 50% of the tires you normally would. It's kind of like riding a bike at that point, except it's really heavy. Okay, on top of that, we've also made up to 27th place. So, I mean, we're making up ground, despite the fact that this car apparently weighs, you know, 20 pounds to just get up on its wheels like that. Okay, I've made it to the back of John Hunter up here. We're going to see if we can get around him, and then good old 7-time Jimmy Johnson. I still feel like this game did him a bit dirty. You know, he's in 25th place. He's struggling all the time in here. And I mean, to be fair, yeah, obviously, you know, he struggled a lot in real life, as hopefully we don't take him out here. But, you know, he's not this slow. He does consistently run up towards, you know, at least the top 10, top 15. It's usually, you know, strategy, or he'll make a mistake that knocks him back. Okay, so I got to be on the brakes really early in that corner because I don't trust the camber. I think it's because that corner is off camber, that the physics, I mean, being that this game is made in Unity and whatnot, the physics just don't know how to actually handle that. And so your car just like, hey, you know, we're off camber, let's try and flip the car over. And that's just how it works. Also, either something happened to Ricky Stenhouse Jr., as I go a bit wide there, or Ryan Newman was also right alongside him, because Ryan Newman is now the leader of the race. Ooh, that's not good. I got on the gas a bit too early there. Just about spun it out. I saved it. We're going to lose a lot of time, but fortunately not any positions. Also, definitely could have put that in fourth gear, but I just wanted to keep stability as much as I can. All right, third gear. I'm so glad that I have some of these assists on, though, because I'm sure without them, this car would have just been wrecked within the first corner, probably. Because, I don't know, I'm probably going to... I mean, I will disable them once we go back to the ovals, but at least for the road courses in this game, the physics that they use, unfortunately, just don't seem to line up with what makes sense, at least if you're someone that's played, you know, other racing games, or especially simulators, which, I mean, this game's obviously not meant to be a simulation, but you still expect the physics to interact a certain way, and for the most part on ovals, they do. It's when it comes to the road courses and, like, off-camber corners and things like that, that the physics just kind of take a nosedive. And it just starts playing by, you know, NASCAR Heat 5 rules, as opposed to, you know, or like law of physics or anything. Okay, so I've kind of just been staring down the back of De Benedetto here for the last lap or two. We are making up ground on the small little pack ahead of us, and my last lap was my fastest one so far. This one might actually beat that, a 1:36.8. Okay, so we are improving slowly over time, just because I'm learning, you know, the problem areas I have to be careful of. I'm still kind of confused. I feel like every single time the car wants to snap like left or right, it's because the tires actually lose contact with the ground, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe that's how it actually worked in the previous NASCAR Heat games, but I mean, all I ever remember was where the physics were pretty awful on road courses in those games. But it doesn't seem like the car's actually snapping loose. It's just the car itself is losing, you know, contact with the ground, which is a completely another story. So whenever I go over this, I'm so careful, and I still almost tip over there, where I feel like I'm losing so much time, whereas otherwise I could probably gain, just in that corner alone, you could probably gain a second, maybe even more. But you can't do it because your car might just, you know, blow over on its lid. Okay, we're going to pass Matt here. Okay, start moving our way up towards the Stewart-Haas cars ahead of us. All right, not bad. We might actually get lapped by Ryan Newman at this point, honestly. Completely okay with that, considering we might even be in the top 20 when it happens. Okay, we got a big group of cars down here coming in the hairpin. We got Cole Custer on the outside of his teammate, Clinton Boyer. Clinton Boyer, obviously fairly good at some of these tracks. Well, maybe in recent years. It kind of depends. He hasn't really had that much luck in the last few seasons. But they are side by side. That is going to slow them both down. That is also going to make it much harder to pass them, because you can't exactly go 3 wide that easily on a track like this, unless you're, you know, unless you have a death wish of some kind. As it looks like our right rear tire actually almost lifts off the ground in that corner. Maybe that's why it wants to snap loose. Same thing up here, in fact. If you hit this bump a bit too much, it seems like the right rear loses contact with the ground. Oh gosh. Okay, we tried to go to inside of Bobby Carter, and instead Clint Boyer stuck his nose where it did not belong, and just about turned us around. He's still trying to go side by side in here. I'll be honest, I don't appreciate that. Okay, now he's on the inside of us in a hard braking corner. Okay, we actually have a race going on here. Keep it to the outside. Try and get on the gas. You can't get on the gas too early, because if you do, you're probably just going to send it into the wall. All right, get on the brakes very early here. Come down here. Don't get on the gas until you're over that little bump in the road, because otherwise, you know, you'll turn into a turtle, kind of. All right, Bobby, please give me the run so I can get ahead of you. You definitely seem to be slower than me on a lap-to-lap basis. All right, let's go ahead and look at our tire. We're at 57%. Should be fine. Like I said, in that regard, we'll probably be below 40% when we finish the race, maybe even 30. But that should be good enough. I don't think tire wear makes a huge issue here, as somebody actually seems to be blowing an engine up ahead of us. Honestly, that's good for us. We're going to gain a spot out of it. Whoever they are, I believe, is pitting currently. Joey Logano. Okay, there we go. Big name out of the race with a few laps left to go. Although, to be honest, it's like, you know, a third of the race left, so they made it pretty far. But I'll gladly take the free position, because we're going to need as many of those as we can get. We are in 20th place. Corey LaJoy actually having a great race for himself, up in 19th. Did they buff Corey LaJoy for some reason in this game? Because I feel like he's been pretty consistent so far the entire season, and I'm pretty sure he's like in the top 15 or so in points, which, I mean, you know, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Corey LaJoy, but he's not exactly in the type of car that you would expect to be up there after, you know, a few races. Okay, so I've figured out that you can actually make up quite a bit of ground in certain corners if you get on the brakes very late, because the AI seem to be, you know, a bit conservative on that regard. But I'm kind of concerned as to how that's going to, you know, treat the tires. There's only a few laps left, so it's probably not the end of the world. But I don't want to risk anything happening, considering we are in, like, what, 20th place? So you know what? I don't really want to throw that away, because 20th place is much better than, like, last place, or, you know, 35th or whatever that we might get if we wreck at this stage. And in a season-long championship like this, you kind of have to make those sacrifices. If you're going to finish in 20th, you're going to finish in 20th. You need all the points you can get. All right, Clinton Boyer actually made up a lot of ground on me in the last lap or so. I think it's because I've been a bit cautious. I went a bit wide on one corner about a lap ago, and kind of lost a bit of time. I'm trying to get more aggressive to make up some more time, but I feel like it's a bad idea, because that basically involves getting on the curbs. And just because of how the physics work in this game, yet again, the curbs are basically your biggest enemy, even though in real life you can obviously use some of these curves to, you know, help you turn the car around at a faster speed. And especially, you know, right there in that corner, you would generally use as much of the curb as you can. Your car would kind of pop up in the air, but it would help you turn. In this game, it would help you turn, but it would, you know, basically help turn you into the wall. And that's not exactly what you're looking for. Okay, we only have 2 laps to go, so as long as we don't lose ground to Clint Boyer, honestly, it looks like we're going to finish in 20th place because I don't see us really making up, 5 seconds to Corey LaJoie, who's actually pulling ahead a fair bit. I feel like it's because I keep forgetting to actually downshift through these rhythm sections, which costs us a lot of time and acceleration off the corners. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think about the physics when it comes to road courses in NASCAR Heat games? I feel like, the physics aren't, like, amazing in a lot of the ovals or anything, but they're completely fine, and they do basically what you would expect. But when it comes to road courses, they just seem pretty bad, which, it's a big shame as we actually, lose traction with the road once again there. It's a pretty big shame because I feel like they could be really fun in general just to, play like a licensed NASCAR game on a road course against the AI, something that you can't really do all the time in iRacing because AI is still a pretty new thing, plus it's also a lot more expensive. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have any issues like this with the physics in your games? Or maybe I'm just doing something wrong. If you guys have any tips, feel free to let me know, because I feel like it's always been this case for me in NASCAR Heat games, where whenever I go to road course, I kind of just dread doing that because I just know I'm going to, struggle just to keep the car in a straight line, to be honest. Okay, coming to the white flag, this time by both Corey LaJoie and Daniel Suarez actually look like they're going to beat us out here. Kind of, I mean, not to say I'm very good and they're outperforming me or anything, but I wouldn't expect those cars to actually be in the top 20, especially at a road course. But I guess, road course, especially in real life, does put the, speed more in the driver's hands outside of the actual car itself, as opposed to, like a super speedway. We're having, better engines, better downforce, all that's going to help you out a lot more. But, good for them. It does look like Ryan Newman has won the race, actually. So, hey, Ryan Newman, also a legitimate threat for the championship, depending on how consistent he can be. One more time through the carousel as we try and avoid flipping our car over yet again. Also, a small little detail I've noticed on this car that I didn't actually notice before was that the Chevrolet logo on it is blacked out on the back, which I think, pretty nice. It matches with the black and white paint scheme. That being said, I do wish they would fix the bug so that the wheels wouldn't be this obnoxious yellow color, because it looks kind of ugly just being there. I don't know why that would ever be, a bug. Why is the default color yellow or something? But the rim should be white. And hopefully they can fix that, because I feel like this car looks pretty clean, and I will try and do other paint schemes throughout the rest of the season. I'm going to try and, change it a few times. I'm not going to change it every episode, because that can get pretty annoying depending on how many changes you have to make to the paint scheme. But I think we're good, and we're going to bring it home as we keep losing more time to Corey LaJoie throughout this entire run. We're going to bring it home in 20th place. So you know what? I consider that a success. Honestly, considering how I hadn't done a single lap in NASCAR Heat 5 on a road course before this, I can live with that. I feel like 20th is okay. Not great, but it's okay. So taking a look at the final race results, you can see that Ryan Newman does win by a whopping 7.2 seconds over Ricky Stenhouse Jr., so that was absolute domination. The Busch brothers in 3rd and 4th place, Ty Dillon in 5th, Ryan Preece in 8th, Brendan Gaughan in 10th. I have no idea what they did with the AI when it comes to road courses, but I definitely would not expect Ty Dillon and Brendan Gaughan to be in the top 10, especially Brendan Gaughan. Nothing against Brendan Gaughan, but you don't generally see the number 62 car in the front of any race unless it's Daytona, when 30 other cars have already wrecked. But hey, NASCAR Heat 5, you do you. And then taking a look at the point standings after Sonoma, you can see that I am down in 5th place in points with 2 wins. Denny Hamlin retains his lead over Kyle Busch, and you can see that Ryan Newman, with his first win of the season, does move up into 4th place, tied with Ryan Blaney for 3rd. So basically all the race winners, except for, Michael Mcdowell, up here in the top 5 in points, all pretty consistent. So, you don't really need the playoffs if all the race winners are generally pretty consistent to begin with, like they are right now. But I will go ahead and look through the rest of the points so you can find your favorite driver. You can see that Chase Elliott kind of struggling down there on 12th place, a bit low for Hendrick Carr. Alex Bowman up in 6th place. Look a bit farther down, you can then see that Christopher Bell, 17th. Daniel Suarez, 16th in points. You got to say, very impressive to see a car like that. That's usually a backmarker running that far up in the standings this late in the season. And then moving that a bit more, you can see that now Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up to 27th in points. He has gotten most of those points probably in the last few races, considering he had very few at the start. Michael McDowell continuing to let everybody down in 30th. Darrell Wallace Jr., our teammate, kind of struggling, but if we're being realistic in terms of Richard Petty Motorsports performance, that's probably not all that bad. But that will wrap it up for today's video. If you have made it this far and you did enjoy, please consider leaving a like. It would help me out a lot. Also, in the next race, we're going to be heading over to Martinsville. So we go from Sonoma, where we're probably going to have some of the fewest amount of laps per race in the entire season, to Martinsville, which I'm pretty sure is going to tie with Bristol at 65 laps. So that should be something. Also, I'm sure my tires and my brakes will be absolutely screaming. So it might be another, challenge for us to actually perform pretty well. But after that, we move back onto the intermediates, where I tend to perform a bit better. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one.